Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I am your host, Ty Christensen. Spine is a little sinewy. Anyway, we've got Jordan Christensen on the pod.
I was just gonna, Blue, take that beef. I don't know. What does the husband say to the wife?
I don't.
Do I have to be a robot?
Yeah. Do I have to be a robot? Yeah.
I'm fine.
How many times do I have to repeat myself?
Oh, that's what it was. How many times do I have to repeat myself?
How many times do I have to tell you? And we've got Cameron Mickle on the pod.
I saw the photos. Oh.
What are you, a smoker now?
That is a good one.
And we've got Nick on the podcast.
I think I'll just Steve Jobs my way through life. Boom.
I figured you'd like that quote. That's a Nick quote right there.
I mean, I'm so sad that we're reviewing the last few of that kid's movies because he is so good.
Anton Yelchin.
Anton Yelchin, man, I was so sad. I forgot that he died.
Rest in peace, dude.
And
He
then I
is such a
re-looked
good
it up,
actor. He would have made so many good movies because he's so young, too.
He's young.
I'm young.
He's young.
He died too young.
Tragically, he died by not putting his car in
He
park.
did die tragically, and freak accident, dude. Freak accident. His car
Didn't put
rolled
his
down
SUV.
his driveway and pinned him between him and the gate. While he was checking his mail. He literally died checking his mail. See, anything can happen.
That is crazy. That is crazy when you put it that way. Life's a fragile thing here.
It reminds me of that Rick and Morty episode when he's Tiny Rick and he doesn't want to get old again and he puts the music in his ears and he's like, he died too young. What a world.
I don't remember that. Which season was that?
That's
the latest season?
That's when they figure out the meaning behind the wobble wubba dub glub dub.
No, it's Tiny Rick.
Yeah.
Oh, Tiny Rick.
And they also find out that wobble wubba dub dub means what's it called? Like I'm
in great pain.
I am in great pain.
Yeah, nerd. I know my.
That is an underrated episode. I feel like, yeah, definitely. But guys, we're getting into Thoroughbreds. This movie came out in 2017. It's directed by Corey Finley, written by Corey Finley, stars Olivia Cooke, Anya Taylor-Joy, my personal favorite, Anton Yelchin, and Paul Sparks, and a few other folks. But they're the key players in this movie. And a plot synopsis, it says, two upper-class teenage girls in suburban Connecticut rekindle their unlikely friendship after the years of growing apart, period. Together, they hatch a plan to solve both of their problems, no matter what. So, let's get into this movie. What was it like watching it for the first time or rewatching it for the podcast? Let's start with you, Nick.
I thought yesterday was the first time watching it. Like I said, I was telling you guys before. And then got to the very end and I'm like, I think I did watch this movie before. But I don't really remember it. And there's a pretty good reason why. I'm not going to lie. I'm not really sure how I felt about this movie. We'll get into that later. So... Obviously, watching it for the first time, not memorable. Watching it for the second time, a little, it was just the same, man. I don't know. I don't have any feelings about this movie. Just like that girl, Amanda, she's got no feelings. That's how I feel about this movie. Just no emotion. Don't hate it, don't like it, nothing.
Wow. It's kind of like they made you feel like one of the...
I was jealous.
I guess you really put yourself in their shoes, yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of...
Very interesting take. Jordan, how about you?
Oh, man, I feel bad. You're starting with the people who aren't in love with this movie. You should have started this, Ty. Got the energy flowing. Maybe help us change our mind about it. Actually, I did love the visuals, so I enjoyed it. But like Nick said, it's one of those movies that you kind of forget about, which actually, it's so crazy because the movies I feel like that are more memorable sometimes are harder for me to rewatch. These movies are easy to rewatch because I forget them. And so I'm like, I'll watch it again. I'm like, oh, I forgot all about it. I forgot that she... smashed the thing over his head and he started bleeding. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I do remember the ending that like Nick said on the couch when she's covered in blood. I do remember that. I did, however, forget that she decided to take the blame and she took the drugs. So, wow.
That part
Chug
came
that
back to me.
spike
That
drink.
part came back to me. That's like the part I'm like, okay, I do remember this movie.
And I actually did like the ending this time because I remember the first time I didn't like the ending, but I actually watched it this time and I enjoyed it. So
maybe you didn't understand it the first time, because I watched it the first time and I loved it, and I remember hearing that Nick and Jordan didn't like the ending of this movie, and I was like, what are you talking about? The ending was perfect.
No, I just thought they should have ended it earlier when she came down on the couch and just covered it in blood. No,
They should have ended it right there. They should have.
Why? Why would they have ended it?
Because it would have kept you guessing like what actually happened, and what happened is what you exactly thought happened. I mean, that's kind of like the whole movie. It's like
Let me explain to you at the very ending, though. Okay, it's the final nail in the coffin, and I'll explain to you why I really like it.
I like it now, and I kind of get why he did it. But before, I thought it'd be more fun to discuss. You know, it's the same thing with Mississippi Grind. Oh, shoot, he listened to the tape. Does he go back to gambling? Or 10 Billboards in Mississippi, which is kind of funny.
Prisoners, or like Prisoners when you hear the whistle, but does he actually get found? Oh, my gosh, that keeps you going.
Of course it gets found.
Well,
That's
maybe
the perfect
not.
way to end it.
Maybe
Is
he
the
doesn't
top
get found.
is the top toppling over, or isn't it? I like what you guys are saying in the fact that you're like, well, I have to say I have some questions about this movie, and they'll get into my nitpicks as well as, you know, different things. But I really enjoyed rewatching this because, like you guys said, it's a very interesting movie because it's like it feels very slick and sleek. I guess that's the word. It's like an Apple product. I don't know. Like it's rigid. What? The shots are really good. It feels like GarageBand is playing. There's some weird music choices.
Yes,
like, it sounds like a little squeak or like a fart. I don't know how to explain
kind of
it.
kind of like a little shining thing going on right there. You know what I mean? That's
like
what I kind of felt like. I'm like, what is this?
Squeak.
The Shining?
It did remind me of Stanley Kubrick's like wide shots and just fun sets.
Yes.
Like them playing with the chess set. Like I just thought that was fun to look at.
Yeah, I really liked this movie on rewatch because I even thought more about the ending and more about our protagonists. So let's get into
Cameron.
Cameron, what was it like watching it for the first time, rewatching for the podcast?
So watching it for the podcast was my first time. And yeah, I had no idea what it was going into it. I asked Jordan what it was about.
Went in blind.
I asked Jordan what it was. I was like, what's Thoroughbreds about? And he's like, it's an A24 film. And I'm like, very descriptive. It could be literally anything.
Yeah, it tells you everything you need to know.
Well,
that kind of does tell you everything you need to know. It means it's going to be a potentially not good movie.
It's gonna be a tight 90 minutes. You know, it's gonna be a
visually
small
stimulating.
budget. Yeah. Indie film.
So yeah, and then going into it, I really enjoyed it. I was like, there was many twists and turns that I was not expecting, and I was like, oh wow, this is, because I had no idea what it was about, and I was just like, this is very entertaining, and I loved the eeriness of it, and honestly, like the music and everything, I thought it was really good.
So that's interesting that you say that the twist and turns, because I felt like they made attempts to kind of twist and turn you, but I think they never really veered off what they set in your mind in the very beginning, you know? So like, for me, it was predictable that nothing was off in any way. Nothing shocked me, I guess, because it's like, okay, their goal was to kill the stepdad, and they did it poorly planned, and it kind of just turned out.
And that's why it was shocking that she got away with it. It seemed way too poorly planned. Like she just did it out of kind of...
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. That's why she was going to frame, Amanda in the first place, because she's been diagnosed. She's got these personality issues. She's a psychopath.
But because we didn't see her kill him, we don't know if the guy was able to grab or do anything to her. Maybe he just came up behind. She just came up behind him and started stabbing him in the back.
No, she muffed him. She surprised him, got him by surprise.
Okay.
He was on a rowing machine, dude.
Yeah.
But he's moving
he's
around.
Pulling that rower, and then she comes up behind him, slits his throat.
Yeah.
There's a thud.
But then he stands up.
No, he's in way too good of shape. If she were to take him on one-on-one, he would destroy her. She did not stand a chance if she tried to face him one-on-one.
She snuck attack him, dude. That's the only way.
I don't know, dude. This is the second time I've seen this actor killed by a woman. He's killed in House of Cards. By what's her name? Princess Buttercup. I don't remember her name. She was also in Blade Runner, but I can't remember her name. I'll think of it. But anyway, so yeah, he gets killed by a lot of women. I'm just saying, this poor actor, Paul Sparks.
Well, that's his talent.
He's typecast as the guy. Yeah, he gets murdered by women.
Just gets murdered well by women. Well, because he kind of plays that. He's got that face, like that he's an and he's just like, man, women just want to kill him.
I want to hear your guys' two favorite things, and I want to talk to you about this whole, like you said, the twists and turns that didn't really throw you for a loop. So, Nick, what are your two favorite things from this movie?
Anton Yelchin.
Yes.
Number one favorite thing about this movie.
Performance or character? I guess
just him in general. But no. I thought his character was okay, and I thought he was, watching, and I thought maybe he would actually do it, but he stood firm. And he was like, no, I'm not gonna kill these people. And I
Although
love,
he's like, hey, I have a gun.
yeah,
You know?
I love that
really
part.
do
I'm
have a
like,
gun.
I love the part too when he's like going through the house and that music's playing. I'm a Marine. I'm loving it. You know, he's so excited.
Rubbing his fingers along that car, dude.
However, it's like obviously he's a little like, you know, off too, man, because he's got a thing for Lily. That's clear, and obviously he's probably got a thing for people younger than him, and he's kind of a loser. But otherwise, as a person and as an actor, he's
selling
really
drugs to
good.
minors? No, dude, he's living the high life.
No,
That's it, baby.
he's like a dishwasher. And not just
He's
any
like a
dishwasher,
thinning-
not even at
his
a
hair is
restaurant.
thinning,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
Yeah,
not
his
even a
hair's like
dishwasher.
thinning.
He's a dishwasher at a freaking old person's home. That's like as low as it gets. Like you're just making the same thing over and over for old people. Like applesauce and
Just
mashed potatoes.
scrub those plates clean. Oh my word.
Loser.
I love it. Do you have a second favorite thing?
The ending was, I mean, the very ending when she was like that second. I think that when she said, "I threw away the letter," that was like, oh no.
No.
That's when I realized that. That's when I realized that she was more cold and ruthless than Amanda, and then truly, she was the psychopath.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what I liked. I liked that it was a twist. It was like, okay, this girl actually has emotions. She's trying to, you know, in the movie, play like she's cold, but she really is cold, deadly cold, devilishly cold, just terrible.
She was the witch all along.
She
dude.
was the
Anya
witch all
Taylor-Joy.
along.
Yep. Anya Taylor-Joy once again. She's great. I think she's going places. Jordan, how about you? Two of your favorite things?
I'm just going off exactly what Nick said. I loved Anton. His performance was great. His character was fun. I even went back and rewatched his scenes because he was my favorite part of this, because he really brought some more life to the character, because the other two girls are kind of just like the whole time, meh, yeah. I mean, I get it because she's a serial killer, so she's supposed to play that. But then again, like, somebody compared this to American Psycho, which I was like, I went back and watched some of the scenes from American Psycho. I'm like, this is not even close. Like, why would you even compare it to American Psycho? Because she's a serial killer, I guess. But like, she doesn't actually kill anybody besides the horse. Like,
it's Heathers meets American
okay,
Psycho.
Heathers I can understand.
It's got
sort
tones of
but
Heathers in there a little bit.
Yeah.
I just there's not as much emotion, which there's a lot of emotion coming from Christian Bale. Oh my goodness, is there so much emotion flowing out of him? I just
Emotion flowing out of him.
yeah, I mean the
Ew.
scene when he's like, you know, freaking out in the telephone booth that you said was your favorite performance of him.
Well, no, yeah, when he's in the office and he's talking on the rotary phone in his office.
Well, he reminds me of Light. Yeah, is it Light from Death Note, where he's inside his head and he's freaking out because he's like looking at the cards, and you know,
I killed a lot of people.
yeah.
That's great.
But the others,
good.
my second favorite part is just the sets. I mean, I've kind of already mentioned it, but every shot, Ty's mentioned it too. Great scenery. So if just for that, like, at least I was like enjoying. It's like it kind of reminds me of Tenet. It's like, oh, is it getting? You know, you're seeing, let's go to a new beautiful location. Let's just give some exposition. So
It's good. Cameron, how about you? Two of your favorite things from this movie?
I know a lot of people don't like. I love the music just because of how jarring it was, and I just kind of feel like it's very similar to like just how unreal and like out of tune with society both the girls are. Is because Anya Taylor-Joy tries really hard to appear like she belongs in society, and that's why I love the moments when you see her kind of crack and she kind of like shows her real side. And she's like, "You're a very off-putting person, and I hate this." And she's like, "That's the first honest thing you've said to me since 6th grade."
Mind you, she's like, "No, we're just hanging out," and then like immediately like, "I don't like you. You smell funny," and you're like deadpan, guys. Like, I get goosebumps rewatching it because I know the ending and I'm looking for those hints. I love what you're saying, Cameron.
But yeah, and so that kind of goes into my second part is I love, like you guys know, I love serial killers and psychopaths, and just seeing kind of like their psyche is so interesting, and kind of seeing like where certain ones draw the line. Like some of them just don't give a crap and they're just like full on just like embrace and show who they are. Kind of like you even see the difference between Amanda and Lily. Like Anya Taylor-Joy as Lily, she's like trying to do. That's the only reason I understand. It's kind of like American Psycho. Considering I just finished watching that about like 30 minutes ago. Just because she's like trying to put on this facade for everyone else, so she appears normal to everyone else. versus Amanda, Olivia Cook, she just does not care. And she's like not even trying to put on a facade. She, like everyone.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Look at that watercolor. I bet it's got a watercolor.
Dude, that's so weird. But yeah, and so I just love kind of seeing their psyche and like the certain things that led to them making certain decisions.
It's great. So I like what you guys have said, and honestly, my favorite is the bait and switch. Like you said, Nick, does it really throw you for a loop? What I really liked about this movie is that the first time I really didn't anticipate anything at the end. I was so thrown for a loop at the ending because I was like, why was she so cold? Like, I actually fell for the relationship that she developed with her for some reason. That bashing Anton Yelchin in the head, all of their chemistry. Like, I actually got the sense that she was connecting to this crazy person. In the end, I'm like, I watched it again. I'm like, it's even more obvious. You have a scene where, bless her heart, you know, Olivia Cook's character, Amanda, is sitting in this nursing like a psychiatric facility or whatever, being held against her will, right? And she's writing this letter, and you see her actually smile. Now, mind you, she hasn't mentioned anything about smiling in this movie until they mentioned about joy and pain. And she can fake cry on demand. So if she was crying or something like that, I wouldn't have believed it. But she's like smiling, like genuinely happy. And she's writing this like heartfelt letter, like, I feel like I'm a living person now. I'm getting the help I need. Anya Taylor-Joy, you won't believe what's going on in my life. And then, you know, there's a scene, I don't know how long later, Lily gets out of the car, runs into Anton. He's like a valet driver now. And she's just like, hey, have you talked to Amanda lately? It's like, she wrote me a letter. It's like, what did it say? I don't know. I just threw it away.
That's the one
Just
that
like,
got me.
holy
I know.
shit,
That's the thing that got me right there. Boom.
It's so good because the
So
whole movie had me
heartless.
fooled. I thought for the whole time, like, Lily, like, there's a moment where she's like trying to fake cry, and you're like, she's like trying to understand Olivia, how she can like cry on demand. There's like all these scenes where they even go to like a party, and you think like Anya Taylor-Joy is like at least popular, but then you realize like she's not talking to anyone at the party. Like, she's just as much of a social outcast and keeps to herself as much as Olivia Cook's character does.
Oh, so
Like, I
you're to
kept
believe
thinking-
that she's also a serial killer?
She is not a serial killer. There's a difference between a serial killer and a
slow down.
psychopath.
Oh, a psychopath.
No, but let's be real. Anya Taylor-Joy is the only one that kills someone in this movie.
Yeah,
She
the other
has
one
psycho
owns
bonds
the
off.
horse.
Psycho.
No, and let's be real, guys. Here's my nitpick, and we'll get right into it. Paul Sparks doesn't seem like the world's worst stepdad, does he? I mean, he buys his mom a lot of stuff, and he likes his row machine, and he says, "I'm going to cut you off." Like, okay, is that we're stabbing
the
him
way
in
he
the back of
talks
the head?
to he talks to her mother too, like that's super.
Sure, it's rude.
Ty,
rude.
Yeah.
Ty, you're trying to tell me you never thought about stabbing Byron in the back of the head with an axe?
Guys, okay, here's what they should have
I
done.
can safely say no. Cameron, do you want to share with us your feelings on that, Cameron?
Let's take it
Come on,
back.
we've all plotted to how to kill our parents, right?
He may have not been that bad. Okay, he was, unless there was something we didn't know. However, instead of
Yes,
killing
I was
him,
hoping for
instead of killing him, I would have just tried to rob him blind. He said I was cut off after boarding school. What can I steal from this? He's got the wine. I would just slowly steal from him as much as I could, you know, because I don't know if killing him did them any good. I don't know if she was. They didn't say that if she was in like some will or something. I'm guessing not because he hated her. So I'm guessing in his death she would get no money.
Oh, but it's probably left to the mother.
You know, I wish they would have continued a lot more, like, kind of like part of my nitpick, but like what I think would have been really fun is if they would have done a lot more of, like the subtle injuring him. Like, I thought that was genius, and I think that's like a sign of a true psychopath, just like they torture animals.
Yes.
That's, I wish they would have done more of, like
loosening the front
his,
wheel on the bike.
and then
Oh
like
my
done
gosh.
little things,
Passive aggressive.
Yeah, the little inconveniences to drive him to insanity, because that's like
Start
'cause
poisoning him.
I was about to like turn down the volume of the thing because of how annoying that. It was getting so annoying.
They were
but,
definitely going at each other.
like it was so it did such a good job. That's why I think the director did a really good job of like showing you like how annoying that is in her head, because like it probably wasn't that loud truly, but like that's how it appeared in her head of how loud it was. And so like that's just like her
Again,
losing.
Cameron's justifying psychotic behavior, guys, okay? I'm just saying, he didn't deserve to be murdered. That's all.
Yeah,
He's like,
I
I'm going to
agree.
cut you off, you spoiled brat. And then it's like,
I'm just
die!
saying if you've seen Jordan when you chew with your mouth open, that I think Jordan would put a knife to the back of my head if I chewed with my mouth open every single day next to him.
Death by knife point. Yikes.
that does bother him. This is like, I think, the 10th time we brought this up. You must really hate that, Jordan. We all know it.
And that's one of my
you.
favorite scenes too is the scene where she's holding where Amanda, Olivia Cook's character, she's holding the knife and like she's having that interaction with her stepdad of like the smoking scene. I was holding my breath the entire time. Like, is she gonna jump? Like,
Yeah,
kill
that
her,
was a great
kill
scene.
him? I'm
Man.
like, what's about to happen? Like, did they plan something like a certain like a signal word? I'm like, what is about to happen?
I am liking it more now that you're explaining like who the real crazy person is, because they make you, because the opening scene is with her killing a horse, so the whole time you're thinking, oh, this is the serial killer girl,
Right. Yeah, the psychotic girl. She's
she's the one holding the knife while they're talking.
She's brandishing a knife, murdering a horse, and then you hear her talk about it. She's like, "I was just putting an animal down. I just looked at it as a utility. Very cold, right?" She's like,
Yeah,
I was trying to put it out of its pain."
So,
She did it in
she's
the
very
most
strange.
Very rational
But guys,
too.
here's the thing. See, again, Anya Taylor-Joy, she set this whole thing up, guys. She knew about the horse. She didn't reach out to this person until after she knew about this horse incident. Remember what Olivia Cook's character says? Amanda says to Lily, she's like, if I am around this incident, like if anything happens to your stepfather, like, or I'm around violence, like, do you know what's going to happen to me? She's like, I'm already under so much trouble after this horse thing. Anya Taylor-Joy knows this. There's a scene where she's sitting in bed and her eye pops open. She like devised the plan. She's like, I know exactly how I'm going to do this now. It's terrifying. I'm just saying, Anya Taylor-Joy the whole time makes you believe that she's more down to earth and she's popular.
So
and again,
you think that she was playing this from the very beginning?
as soon as, yes, because why start the very movie with Amanda murdering this horse? And then she's like, I'm under a lot of hot water here. Like, I can't have anything else on my record. And she's like, oh, yeah. Now, granted, Olivia Cook does smash a lamp on top of Anton Yelchin's head, which is one aggressively violent thing that she does, right? But again, he was waving a gun around in her head, and she said, you shouldn't hesitate. And even then, you could argue that was like self-defense. This deranged predator, because he had a relationship, right? She smashed the lamp on his head, and you could argue it was in self-defense because he was being very unruly. But they just propositioned for him to murder his stepdad.
The big difference is Lily is evil, Amanda is logical. That is what it is. Amanda is just a logical person. See, logical is just not having any emotion attached to something, and that's what makes her great. She's not actually a bad person or evil in any way. She's just logical. Lily is just plain evil. You can just, from the very beginning, you're like, this chick is evil. She is just manipulative, evil, and she's got that face that she's just, dude, even her looking at her in real life, she looks evil. I mean, this woman just screams evil. I'm like, makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, Ty, what babies did she smash to get this part?
Yeah. So, Nick, have you seen The Witch?
Is she in it?
She's in The Witch.
She's got the evil face, man.
Yeah. She's also in Last Night in Soho. You should go see that movie if you haven't seen it yet, Nick. It's really good.
Oh, and she's the killer in that one too. Oh my gosh, I've seen a trend.
Well, spoiler alert for everyone here listening, it's still in theaters, but who cares? We already reviewed it, so yeah. If we review on this podcast already, just assume we're going to spoil movies that we talked about in the past. So.
Oh, you spoil at least 3 an episode.
I spoil movies that are years and years old, but not ones that are still in theaters. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on,
that's true.
Jordan.
Actually, I think I spoil movies that haven't even come out yet. That's my theory. So anyway, one of my nitpicks I just wrote down was just like, I'm surprised that she killed. Was willing to kill him, because you're right, Nick. I think she's just pure evil incarnate, because she's also really very conniving. She faked her continued residence in her college or whatever, and then also was pretending to tutor for money, or like, I don't even know if it was tutoring, right? It was just like, be a friend to my daughter for this amount of money. I love that. Like, being a paid friend of somebody, I don't know why, that's just like really uncomfortable for me, watching scenes play out that way. Because I remember there was this weird family in our church ward that was like paying other kids to be friends with his kid, and I'm like, who does that? It really does.
He was doing that?
Yes, he was paying other kids to be friends with his kid. And
How
I'm like,
much?
Nick's like, I'll take that.
Is that option
Nick's
still
like,
on the
hey,
table?
buddy boy.
Guys,
yeah,
I'll be
we'll
anybody's
friends.
friend for some cash. You know what I mean?
some dough.
I'll be your friend.
Always
Yeah,
hustling.
reach out to
Couple
Nick.
hundreds.
What's that Instagram, Nick? Reach out to Nick. He'll take money for being friends.
Nick will be a friend. You can pay Nick to be a friend, dude. Companionship, man.
You can, and I'll wear the nicest pair of shoes you ever did see. So,
Mind you, completely just platonic though, right, Nick?
oh,
You're
very
not-
platonic. No, I'm not.
The other thing too, I thought was kind of funny. the first time I watched it, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, careful, Anya Taylor-Joy. You're going to end up waked up and drugged in the movie Split 2 or something. Like I thought Amanda Cook's character or Olivia Cook's character was going to end up being like psychotic and liking Anya Taylor-Joy too much or something like that. I thought their conflict was going to be together, but instead it was the 4D chess, which I love that there's actually a chess game going on.
When they were playing in the pool, I thought she was going to like kiss her or something, and I was like, oh no.
Right, yeah. All that kind of weird stuff, because Anya Taylor-Joy literally tries to drown herself, but again, why is she doing all this, right?
Yeah,
like
all strange.
showing Olivia. Yeah, it's all 4D chess. It's like she is one step ahead of Amanda, who's very logical, who should have seen past this. But maybe in a moment she thought, maybe I do have a real friend here because it was
hurting
even Anya Taylor-Joy's character.
brain
Lily says, I'm going to drug you. She's like, I'm going to drug you and frame you. And then she takes the drink and does it.
Yeah.
She does it anyway, which is very, very interesting. Why would she do that? I'm still confused about that. Like, I'm like, Olivia Cook must have fallen for her and made her think that she really is a friend.
It was really hurting my brain trying to think of like how you can think without emotion. I was like trying to process. I'm like, how would she process the situation? Like when she was being really rude to her or like backstabby, I'm like, she is not offended at all because it's just
You've never been able to do
information.
that? Think without emotion is actually quite enlightening.
Nick's like, I do it all the
Think
time.
without emotion.
I do it all the time, guys. Think without
Logically.
emotion. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I tend to say the wrong things and do the wrong things, but
That's great.
well.
So, you guys have any other nitpicks or anything you wanted to throw out there? We can get into quotes. Does anyone have any quotes? Oh, sorry, Jordan, you had
Well,
something.
it just one little thing is like I have a friend who loves Community, and he's like, Abed is like the best actor ever, and I'm like, is it really the best actor to simply not show emotion because you're just playing like a robot? Like in this movie, the girl. What's the girl, Cameron, from that movie we just reviewed that you really
Mirror
love?
on the Dying Girl.
Yeah, I do think she's a great actress, and I'm excited to see what else she shows up in. But
In Ready Player One, she played an ugly, disfigured person.
With
That's
a birthmark and a
birthmark.
beautiful
I'm so
face.
hideous.
I'm so ugly.
I love that.
Covered that up. Oh my god.
But I just like when people are like, "Oh, her acting is amazing," and it's like, is it? If you don't, and then I have another nitpick. Is
Okay, well,
why,
Jordan,
if she doesn't
I
show
can
emotion,
say the same thing with what's it called? That's like saying Ryan Gosling isn't great in Drive.
yeah, and see, that's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like,
Or Blade
He
Runner.
is great in Drive, though, so that's the...
Like,
But that's the thing, though. He is good, though.
He is
well,
Drive's awesome. Actually, I kind of want to watch that right now.
it's
Well,
so good.
yeah, there's a thing to be said about subtlety, right? Like, subtlety can sometimes
Well,
be...
But speaking of subtlety, when
powerful.
she says, she tells her like, do you ever think like, what's your purpose in existence? And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. And she's like, I never thought about that. Like, why am I
yeah,
existing?
it's like, if you're not even happy, why do you even exist? Like, are you even living at all?
But is she feeling sadness thinking of that, or is she feeling nothing? Like, because she
She's feeling
apologized.
nothing.
Okay, but
Feeling
then,
nothing.
but you looked at her face, and I'm like, I'm trying to determine, and I guess that goes along
No,
with
she was just
not
thinking.
having
She
feelings.
was just thinking.
She was logically thinking
Yeah,
at that moment, but at the end, you do see her smile because I think she was like, I have a friend. I'm my pen pal. And then just...
Bummer.
Well,
Threw it
but
away.
I thought
Yeah.
she was lying to Anton that she hadn't read it. I thought she read it. She was just lying.
I thought that too because I was like, oh, it's so obvious. Like she's just lying to say like, oh, I don't know what she said. But see, the fact that you guys think that she actually hasn't read it, I think that's so much more interesting.
Because she was afraid that it would give away something about her doing it. So
That's an interesting take. I think... I believe her when she says it. Like...
I believe her. Well, now that you
I
say
think
threw it
it,
away.
I think it makes
Yeah,
more sense of
yeah,
her
she
being a
threw it away.
sociopath. But I think like,
Yes.
But
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe.
But it's interesting what you guys were saying, right? If she was still thinking like, oh, I don't want anything that would incriminate me. But, because you're right. She does say like, I remember that time I did this thing for you. Like she says it in the letter. But again, the idea that she didn't even like destroy it. She's like, I threw it away. It wasn't I destroyed it or I didn't bother reading. I burned it. It was like, I just threw it in the wastebasket. Didn't bother to open it. Didn't bother to read it. Like
Evil.
she's no use for her anymore. And see, this is, you know what movie this reminds me of? This reminds me of Parasite in a little bit because of the class hierarchy. Now, mind you, Lily, they're both kind of like this not middle income. They're like wealthy,
Yes, very
wealthy
well.
folks. But there's clearly, at least I believe that Lily's character, Anya Taylor-Joy's family, was definitely more to do than Olivia Cook's character. Because they're like high-end wealthy, and then like Olivia Cook's character is like, they're rich, but like,
Yeah,
I
they're
don't-
definitely not poor.
yeah,
You
they're
know,
both
they
not
got a
poor,
nice
but
house.
like, but yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy's family
Olivia-
had like the
Olivia-
sawning
But
bed in
Lily's
in
next
the
level
garage.
rich. And Lily's
Yes.
always been
Yes.
rich.
Yes.
Olivia
Yes.
Cook's character when she was playing poker, dude, she reminded me of Rose in Get Out when she was eating the cereal. Just like
Yeah.
no emotion. I was like, what
Dude,
the
Yeah.
I was trying to
Just
figure
betting
out
money,
what
getting
that was
no thrill.
about.
She won money. Yeah, you
Yeah,
would
I
assume
was-
that a moment to herself, she'd be like, yeah, I won this money. Nick, we know how you act when you win the jackpot, right, Nick? Come on, give us that winning face.
She only had 1,300 in there. Okay, so I mean, that wasn't too exciting.
It's true.
I've done that in
But-
a single hand of.
But see, I like seeing that scene.
Blackjack, man.
But I like seeing that scene because even when she wins, there's like no emotion there. Again, alone. She's not putting on a front for other people. Alone, she still doesn't feel anything. She's just
Okay. See, now you make sense because I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out, like, I was thinking back, I'm like, there are some scenes that didn't need to be there and we could have cut an extra
Right.
15 minutes from the movie. So I was trying
Oh
to
my gosh,
understand.
it's only an hour and 3.
I know, dude. No, I was trying to understand. I'm like, I watched this poker when she was playing poker. I'm like, why are they showing this? I even paused. I'm looking at the cards. I'm like, is there something about the cards? I'm like, no, she's got nothing. She's got a freaking pair of fives. It's terrible. But you're right. Now you bring it up. They're just showing that she literally won the money, has no emotion. She bluffed. I get it now. It just
Yeah,
adds
yeah,
to
I think
who
it's
she
super
is.
cool. I think the director did a great job, not only with the shots, but then I think it was such an interesting idea to not show the murder, and because I think it honestly makes it more terrifying, especially like knowing kind of the psychopath that she is, and her coming down just covered in blood, and like.
Well, it also feeds into the idea of what Ty's theory of that she's actually a psychopath. Because if they showed her face, like how much joy she got out of killing him,
enjoyed
then
it.
we would have thought, whoa, this chick is nuts. But we don't see a lot of her emotion. I mean, she kind of tries to keep a lot of that emotion in.
Right, and she comes down
you
and she
hear a
does, like, snuggle
You
with-
you
yeah,
hear a
right,
struggle
yeah.
like upstairs because like it's not just like a stab and then like a run away.
thud.
It's like
Yeah.
you hear a thud
like a
and then
thud,
like a little bit
then
of
there's
movement.
some
and
shuffling.
So she probably had to finish him off. She probably got like a really good slice, maybe his neck, and then he like fell over and he was like probably trying to crawl away, and she probably like
Or maybe she was just enjoying it and she's just going to town on him, just stabbing.
yeah. So like stuff like that,
Slice and
I just
dice.
think is super insane.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Evil.
think that's interesting too, right? Because we don't see how much pleasure she derived from it in the end, and she doesn't seem at all phazed. Like she does
That
come
look that
downstairs.
Dad
and it-
gave while playing tennis, bro. I was like, for all we know, he's a serial killer too. Goodness gracious.
Dude, I think they all were, except the mom. She was pathetic.
oh, dude,
She
I
was
know.
a pushover.
I
Sorry.
can't-
Straight
you
up
cannot
Karen,
let someone
dude.
talk to you like that. Are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me?
And then when she was talking to her daughter, she was like all sad and stuff. Like, we're going to send you to boarding school for bad children.
She's in it for the money.
She's in it
She
for the
is.
money,
Oh,
dude.
she's totally a
She's
gold
bought,
digger.
dude.
Yeah.
There is a price to
100%.
pay, and she's like,
Well,
I'm
she's
not
got a
gonna,
pretty
this
high
body's not
price.
going to tan itself. Yeah.
She got a high price, man. I'm telling you.
When did he install this? Oh, just this week. How long you been in here for? Not long. She's like
Yeah.
cooked, dude.
He likes me with a little bit of color.
Yeah, she's getting tan to go to the spa. What the does that make sense? Like, that's what you go to the spa for. It's
I know, dude.
it's like people
crazy.
getting
I
like
know.
their hair cut before going to their stylist. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's great. And I love that they have the alibis here. They were trying to prepare, like, oh, we're not going to be home when this happens. Anton Yelchin gets his gun back, and then, boop, gone.
She kept seeing his face, and then it's like actually him finally. I was like, what the?
Yeah, but, like, again, I can't imagine how much your mind would be racing being like, I just plotted that my stepfather's going to be dead when I return home. And, like, the spa lady that's, like, doing her toes, like, looks up at her, and it's this freaking stepdad. It's so freaky. You're like, jeez!
It is
So,
freaky.
yeah, it's great. So, yeah, in the end, I think it's a really successful, like, very few characters. Like I named, like, there's really only, like, 4 main characters in this movie, and it's really good. I think it's great. A lot is left ambiguous. Like I said, maybe the stepfather, like, I actually almost got the feeling that maybe the stepfather was abusive one time when he's like, come up with me upstairs to talk, like, not in front of your friend. And she's like, I don't want to go upstairs. And she says it's so cold. She obviously has disdain for him. And I'm like, there is like a possibility. But again,
That's
it's
why I thought
ambiguous
there was
because
more,
you could
a
think
little
he's
bit
as bad.
more.
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah, maybe there was
something
more
we
to
didn't
that.
know.
I thought he was
Yeah.
abusing her, like when they talked about the cigarettes or whatever, and when he grabbed her.
Yeah, it's very possible that he's even more abusive than we
right.
see.
Also,
But again,
I love-
they do a very good job at showing very little, allowing you to
Just
I love
enough to know
interject
that
as-
he's
yeah, as much
capable
as-
of anything.
yes.
I loved
yes,
Amanda's
that's great.
when she was just putting Tim in his place. When he's like, I'm going to be driving the nicest car around here. And she's like, yeah, and you're going to be driving that nice car to every single neighbor, letting them know that you're a offender. I'm just like, jeez Louise.
Oh man, It's great. Yeah, his introduction was really funny too. He's like at the party and everyone's like yelling at him. He gets punched by some high schooler or whatever. Jeez.
Why was he there? Like, just
He's selling weed, dude. He's looking for a score.
he's doing
dude.
a terrible
selling-
job.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, you can be a cool drug dealer to children, but he was not a cool drug dealer to children, right, Nick?
No.
Nick's like, I would have done it with way more finesse. I would have made a lot more too.
No drugs to kids. No drugs to kids.
That's right. That's right.
I would get even mad when people tried to get like my sisters to smoke. Be like, no, they're never smoking. they did anyway, but not under my guide. I'll tell you what.
That's right.
Not under
Not
my
under your
guide.
watch.
No, smack 'em.
So, do you guys have any quotes? I only had the one where I really liked when there's the scene right when they hesitate with Anton Yelchin in the room, and she's ready to smash the. So she's pointing the gun. He like threatens her with the gun, and he's waving around. And then she hits him on the head, and she's like, "Hey, you cannot hesitate. The only thing that's more useless than hesitating or being pure is like, or even being pure evil is hesitation, right?" Like, which I thought was interesting. She like almost acknowledged that Anya Taylor-Joy might be pure evil right there. Like, again, logical brain thinking. Like, Olivia, how did you not see through this? There's no way you fell for this. But maybe Anya Taylor-Joy was so good. You know, the fake suicide attempt in her pool, the just all the little Easter eggs that she was leaving Olivia. She was picking up on them, and she's like, wow, I found someone that's even more, like, mentally unwell than I am, right? Like, at least Olivia Cook has never tried to take her own life, you know?
That we know of.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But again, like, I have no reason to believe that she tried to kill herself. Like, she's totally fine with everyone thinking that she's odd, you know? Like,
You've got a creepy friend. I know.
I know.
That is a good one.
You got a creepy friend. I know.
They're both. Yeah.
He just looks in the back, or whatever. And she's like, "Do you have a gun on you?" He's like,
Yeah, that was pretty messed up. Yeah. Do you have a gun?
"I assume that if you said that you're in the business, that you're gonna need, violence." Just the way she says it is so like a robot. It's like Siri talking.
man.
Yeah,
to him.
that was really good too. When she's like, "That's the only reason you got in with the little leagues because like you're afraid of getting into the big leagues." I loved that tell of his character because again, Anton Yelchin, he's just an innocent guy. Like he's not a killer.
He's really an
He's not a
innocent guy.
killer. Yeah.
Especially when he's in that tub and he gets out, that's when you really see it. I'm like, this guy's kind of pathetic.
Oh, I
He's
know.
a
When he's in
loser.
the tub with his head
Oh,
bandaged
Anton.
I gotta go to the
up.
hospital.
I gotta go to the hospital, man. He's
Here's some Vicodins, you'll be fine.
Here's some Viking. You're gonna be fine. Take 2 of these.
He's all like sad. I'm like, dude, you guys messed him up. And then when he
so
sees her,
sad.
he's all like terrified at the
Oh,
end.
yeah.
You know,
He's
he
like,
looks
yeah, he's like, how is
genuinely
she- yeah.
terrified.
Yeah, because he probably found out that the
She's
stepdad was
psycho.
murdered,
She's an evil.
and he was like, "So you two pulled that off," and he probably had his suspicions.
Well, but
especially
then
when she's like,
that's-
I threw it
that's
away.
why-
That probably told him.
No,
that
that's
she
why
was the
she
killer.
came up to him to talk to him. She said she wanted to clarify, "Oh, I decided to get out of it as soon as you decided not to be part of it." And then the other girl went ahead and did it anyways. Like she was planting it in his head to
Did she say that?
Yeah,
I totally missed
she
that part
was
of the
trying to
conversation.
essentially put all the blame on the
Clear her
crazy
name.
girl in
Yep.
the asylum
Wow.
because she wanted to make sure she had a clean
I'm so glad
alibi.
you didn't come, like because isn't she said like, "Oh, I got cold feet," and
That's
I bailed,
right,
but
cold
then
feet, that's right,
Like,
yeah.
She finished the job
Yep.
without me saying anything.
That's funny because I missed that whole part of the conversation because I do remember like them seeing each other and I was just like, like what does he say? And then it was just she wrote me a letter because you hear the whole monologue from Olivia Cook's character, right? Like she's like, "Oh, this and that," and at the very end it's just like, what did the letter say? He repeats the line because she says it right before they go into the whole monologue, and then at the very end he repeats the line. What did it say?
Just
And
evil.
I don't know.
The other
just
crazy
evil.
part and the last
Evil.
thing I thought of is at the very end when the girl decides to drink the roofies, she essentially was deciding and she's like, "Do you know what you're deciding?" Because she decided right then and there, like, I won't remember not killing him, but I'm going to live the rest of my life thinking I killed him. So she's going to weigh that on her shoulders the rest of her life. I mean, I guess because she feels no emotion, she's like, I'll be fine with it. But still, like, she's going to go the rest of her
I
life.
don't think she would have not remembered not killing him though, because
she
in her
said-
mind the whole time it was just I don't.
But she has no emotion,
Oh, no.
so she, and she also
about the
was
ultimate
roofied. I thought you
bro
don't
move.
remember what happens.
That's the ultimate take one for the team moment.
That was an ultimate take one for the team moment.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, Jordan, like not being able to remember because, you're drugged, but like knowing that you were incapacitated throughout the whole thing. But yes, you're right. Taking the blame for it, the fall for it, and then being like, for the rest of your life, like that doesn't leave you. It's like you were the one that, and it's like, what are you going to do? Turn around and say, no, it was actually her the whole time?
That was
Well,
the
and
that
not
was the that
knowing,
was the one
she doesn't-
illogical decision she made in the whole movie was allowing that to happen because there was no logic behind that. To be
But I'm
honest with
assuming
you.
is it because she actually felt like she had a connection with
No, she
with
was
Lily,
just
right?
had a passive judgment, dude. She was dumb.
But she's logical the whole time. She's really smart.
She is
Why
logical
would
the
she
whole
do
time.
that
I
then?
just don't understand why she did that, man. That's just
I think it's
crazy.
because she fell for Lily. I think she felt bad for Lily because she was like, I was going to have you kill my dad, or I was going to pin it on you. I'm so sorry. And then I think that was like the 4D chess because, again, she was like, oh, I'll do this for a friend because she just spared my life. She was going to drug me. And then she's like, oh, I'll do it. I don't know. I think it was perfect. I think she knew exactly what she needed to say.
But in order for that to be, she would have to have emotion because you said doing it for a friend, felt sorry for her. You can't feel sorry for her or anybody if you don't have any
Nick,
emotion.
so you're saying that roofies don't make you forget? I thought it was a forgetting drug.
Well, Nick, can we assume that she does feel something? Because at the very end, she does smile. Like, there's a genuine smile
I'm
she
not
starts
sure
to feel.
exactly what
She's getting
if it's just
medication.
like a
She's getting the help. She's found
knockout,
people that
or
are
if it's a
like
memory
her,
loss
that
as
are
well.
crazy. She's getting better. She definitely smiles. There's no smile in this entire movie except that one. So we have to believe that's a genuine emotion, right? Like, am I crazy in this?
It's possible, and maybe she would. And I think honestly,
She was alone writing the letter. She smiled.
I think there's no doubt that Lily was. I mean, possibly completely psychopath. Like she was the true psychopath, the true sociopath, whatever. She was just evil. She
felt
was
nothing but disdain for.
She's gonna go on with the rest of her life
joy.
just murdering everybody. I swear, that's what she's gonna do. That's set up. And or answer your question, Jordan. I don't know. I've never been roofied. But I don't think.
But how would you know?
I don't
because
think. I don't
it's a
think
forgetting drug, Nick.
Yeah, but you don't. I don't think.
How
you
would
forget
you know how it works?
Forget. You forget like not a ton
You ever
of
see Hangover?
beforehand.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm
I don't
saying.
know if you forget all that. I don't know if she would forget murdering someone.
I'm just saying, because now she's got to live her whole life with the thought that she did kill somebody, because everybody keeps telling her she did, and she was.
I think in the letter we're to assume that she knows she didn't kill him, but she took the fall.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
is
how I read the letter.
I don't know.
Yeah.
After listening to the letter this time, though, I was like, I'm not really hearing, because she says, I don't remember that night, but they're helping me figure it that night out, and they're working me through it. So I'm thinking she thinks she might have done it.
It's possible.
And she knew that drinking that. Like, she said, do you know what this means? And she's like, yeah, like, I'm fine living with the thought.
I'm going to pin this murder on you, I think.
Not just that, but the idea that she's going to carry this thought that maybe I'll be carrying the idea.
I think the reason that she was willing to do that is because she's like, regardless, she's not going to feel any guilt for killing someone.
Yeah,
she's going to be like, oh, wow, that was illogical.
I do have a nitpick, though.
Let's hear it.
I think typically when you get arrested or when a situation like this happened, I would have to assume they would have taken her blood. Maybe not, but I would assume that maybe they would have, because they typically, when you murder somebody, they want to know, like, what's in your system. Were you drunk when you did this? Why? Is there an explanation why you did this? Roofies would have came up, and they'd be like,
but that's why she went to the insane asylum instead of a prison, I think.
Yeah,
right?
but they would have had to arrest her at first at some point. They didn't just...
I get what you're saying, Nick. Like, it's not as easy pinning it on someone, but maybe she's still admitted to doing it. Like, right? We don't. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Nick. I think she would have had to have admitted. Otherwise, it's like, why?
Because Anya Taylor-Joy is covered in blood, and she lies down next to her, and it's like that all would have come up. They're like, wait, why is there blood on the couch down here?
I'm sure she showered and stuff.
Tried to clean it up. Again,
well,
it's
what
very
was her
confusing
alibi? What was she at? I don't know, man. I think she must
see,
have
like, what's Anya
remembered. She must
Taylor-Joy
have
gonna
taken the
say?
blame. I mean, like anybody that's reasonable and like something's not right about those.
In the end, I think it's just arguable because of what she did to the horse. It was just a closed case, easy for the cops to assume.
And she's
that
got
she
no
killed,
motive, really. I mean, they would have had to known that the daughter was connected to this. Like, okay, your friend killed your stepdad.
And she's got fibers, I'm sure, or something on the guy. That's why I'm saying if he even
she
grabbed
lives
her
there
and got
she
some,
lives there. That's
true.
where things get a little. All her.
Yeah, see, all her DNA is everywhere, but
Yeah.
it's like I live here in this house, so that's not necessarily where. Yeah, I'm
just saying if they did a little bit of investigation at all, I think they would have found something.
See, but that's
there's
the problem.
blood
That's the only
everywhere.
problem is they probably didn't need much of an investigation just because it was a psycho girl, and they see a psycho girl with blood on her.
Murdered the horse. Yeah, she said again that was planted very specifically. They said if anything else happens around me, I'm going to be in big trouble because she's like I got in trouble for murdering this
it's
horse.
Just there's too many red flags. I feel
They
like
talked
the
about
girl's
it
roofied, you know, and it's like she's passed
it's true.
out.
It's true. Like,
downstairs.
did she wait until she came to the next day to call the police? Like, we don't know. We don't see any of that. But yes.
Yeah, because I feel like there's kind of. it's almost too easy, and usually it's the easiest answer is never the right one sometimes. You know?
Well, it's easy if you have a fall guy or fall gal, because if they're willing to take the fall for it,
That's true.
Like,
I mean, you watch Making a Murder, and
yeah, what like people get put away for confessing for murders they didn't even do. Look this up on Netflix. There's like 8 episodes of people. No, I'm not kidding.
Making a Murder.
There are people that confess to doing a murder that they didn't even do.
They do.
Yeah,
but
I don't know why they do. These are just very unintelligent people that sit down with cops for 8 hours, 10 hours.
They are unintelligent. Yes, they get mind effed. Okay,
yes,
that's what happens.
Yes, they sit there with the cop for 8 hours.
Amanda's
like, look,
too
you just
smart
need to tell us
to
the
get
story.
mind effed. She's too smart. She's too
Yeah,
smart.
so
She took the fall. She's like, I did it.
She took the fall.
Sucker.
Yeah.
You know, Christ. You know?
I think I think Lily convinced her that she cared about her. She was a genuine friend. That's the reason Amanda took the drink and took the fall for her ultimately. So love it.
And she ends up with Anton in the end.
No, they don't.
I don't. Well, maybe it's possible. I don't know.
Anton wants to stay far away from
he
her
is
because one day
terrified of them.
he might tell her like,
There
"Hey,
was a
I have to
connection
repeat
there.
myself," and she'll freaking stab him in the back of the head. Jeez.
I mean, he might though because he is a offender, so his chances with girls are probably a lot slimmer. You know.
But
I mean,
are you that desperate and
Very
that down
interesting
bad
too.
that you go for a serial killer? I don't know. I pass.
Well, I don't know, but Anya Taylor-Joy though, she's
I might
pretty
be
fine.
curious.
Even though,
I would.
even Nick was like,
He'd
yeah,
probably be
Nick's
like, cover me
curious.
with that blood.
no, I might be curious to date a psychopath though, just to see what's up, man. You know.
just to see what's up. All right, folks. Would you recommend Thoroughbreds? I highly recommend this movie. I think it's a great time.
Yeah, at least
shot.
once. Like if anything, and I'm excited to rewatch it. I'm not gonna let you guys kind of turn my thoughts.
Well, I would mention it to someone, but I don't know if I'd recommend it. Like, I'll just say, hey, I watched this movie.
I watched this movie
If you
the other
want to
day."
spend $4 on Amazon Prime, you can watch this one.
Nick will recommend Death Note instead, and then angry fans of the anime will come back at him.
Yeah, we'll come after you.
Well,
dude.
I stopped recommending that one. Like I said in my other one, everybody I did this, they called me stupid and told me to get out of their office. Or, get out of my house. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, what do you mean? I gotta get some
I
like
love Death
non-nerdy
Note. Really?
friends.
Yeah. I think
The anime? No, not the anime. The movie.
No,
What?
the movie.
You stupid? Maybe.
What's wrong with you?
It's either I'm stupid or high. That's always the thing people run to. You know, it's like
We should check your drink, Nick. Someone has spiked it.
no, there's no.
So-
This is green tea, which again illegal, but it's fine. I don't whatever. I've been asking everybody about that. I'm like, can someone give me the answer to the green tea situation? What's going on here? And they just keep telling me the same thing. Well, it's just what Jesus said or God said. And I'm like, you don't have a better answer for me? Come on. It seems like a cop-out. I need science, man. And
Are you referring to the word of wisdom? Is that what you're
yeah,
referring
man.
to?
I disagree.
so confused for a second.
I disagree because you know what? We got a couple seconds here. Let me just take a second to all my people out there that know what even the word of wisdom is. I'm guessing anybody that listens to this probably does know. But you know, they say not to drink green tea. Obviously, it's not because of the caffeine. I don't know what it is, but you know, then I'm hearing that, oh, God's a man of science. Well, science is telling me that green tea and honey are actually really good for you. Look at them.
But look at tobacco. They didn't come up with the science of that till later either. So
Yeah,
well, that's
Nick,
completely
maybe the science
different.
is just waiting that green tea.
People have been
it just
drinking
makes
green
you a
tea
sheep,
since
man.
the
It just
beginning
makes
of
you a sheep.
time. No, it makes you. They've been drinking that since the beginning of time. Okay, and if you look at those people that like live forever, those super centenarians, like they talk about their diet and stuff, and almost every time they mention, "Well, I drank green tea every day of my life, and I ate this."
I
and
would
that."
only my only plug is Nick. Love you, man. I don't care what you do with your personal
Look
life.
at the
so
guy, people in
you
UK,
keep drinking.
all the old little ladies with their tea. I drink tea. They live forever.
Nick, notice that no one here on this podcast cares that
it
you
reminds
drink green tea.
me
Just
of
take it easy, all
it
right?
reminds me of Bernie when the lady's like, Christ drank wine, but it didn't say it was fermented.
This has been a delightful conversation. So anyway, I would just argue, Nick, we all love you. You can continue to sin. We love you so much.
I'm not sin.
regardless of your
What? I'm just
okay,
trying
dude,
to
it's okay.
understand, man.
It's okay, Nick.
I'm just trying to
Nick,
understand.
as I understand it, I'll come down and visit you in hell.
Well,
it's okay.
yeah.
I'll come down and visit you in hell
No,
all the time.
oh my gosh, Ty, just
You know,
bring the missionaries over. They'll clear it up. They always.
I
seem to
asked
clear
them
up
already.
stuff.
They gave me the same answer everybody does. Well,
I would just argue that it's
God
not a
said.
dietary advice. Like, it's not. Like, there's plenty of other things that we should avoid, Nick. I totally agree.
well, I take
But-
very truth. God is a man of science, and if science says this, then I think that trumps anything else that may have been written down by man.
Well,
So,
it's just like, okay, is I don't know. I was gonna say like something else. Like, is there another commandment out there that you could think of like that doesn't make sense? Like, I don't know.
Oh, this is a whole nother discussion. Can we please end this podcast?
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. I'm ready to end it, Nick. We'll have to talk later, dude. I
Yes.
think it's great. That
I
you
do
brought
want to talk
this
about
up,
it, but this is.
And Nick, I'm totally playing, dude. We love you, man. I don't
I
care what
know.
you drink. You're a good friend, Nick.
know.
Take it easy.
They're not
all
care what
Nick,
I
Why don't
drink.
you plug your shoes?
Oh yeah.
While you drink your green tea and
guys, Oxit,
steadily bring yourself down to health.
AUXXIT, and we were just at the Midwest Sneaker Exchange. We got a lot of people to sign up. We got a lot of stuff going on in there. Join us. It's called the Shoebox. So just go in the channel, Shoebox.
Oh,
and,
that's so close to becoming Chewbacca.
Chewbacca. We're gonna change the name to something else right now.
Chewbacca.
Right now, it's just
Chewbacca.
that.
I like that.
I like that. We should patent that
Chewbacca.
name, the Chewbacca. Chewbacca. Sorry.
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca. I still
Oxit,
like
download
Chewbacca.
it. Oxit.
Is that the exact
Everybody-
target market you want? Is people who like Chewbacca and shoes, Jordan?
Yeah, just sell fluffy shoes.
They made Chewbacca.
shoes.
They did make Chewbacca
Def-
shoes. Not Nike. I don't
definitely
think made them,
niche.
but
Definitely
love
a
it.
niche.
I love it.
yeah.
Guys, this has been Futro Hidden Movie Gems. Leave us an email, futromovies@gmail.com. Like our videos. Follow us on Instagram, Spotify. Check us out on Patreon. Like us on Instagram. If I already mentioned that, Facebook. This has been Futro Hidden Movie Gems. Signing out. Peace.
Bye.
I don't know how to make that sound. That's what the sound of the music sounded like. It sounded like someone was ripping a fart or something like that.